you have the Aldi's grocery store here, and this is on Wells and Division, and you have high-rise communities around it down here, and the next grocery store is a ways down. Now there's a small grocery store that's on State, but let's go back around. And so you have an Aldi's grocery store that you would assume that they market into all these high-rise buildings. They literally do mailers into the high-rises and try to get people to sign up online for Aldi's rewards program. You send out a cheapest is the postcard. You send out a postcard to them and get them to enroll at home on your rewards program, and then they can use it immediately when they come in the store. But now you have the Aldi's over there, and they're going to target everything from Wells Street eastward, and then they're going to go north and south down North Avenue and target that. And it's a pretty big area. And then what you have here is the Jewel Foods right over here, and it's in this mall, so I'll just zoom in right there. The Jewel Foods right here, and this is on Clybourn and Division. Now they have the area all the way down to a few blocks, because there's a Mariano's at North Avenue and Clybourn. So they're in the market in this area, and then they're also going to market south into this huge development over here. Now, the Jewel has more closer competition. They have Target. So the Jewel is going to separate itself because Target doesn't have a deli, doesn't have lunch meats and a deli counter, and it doesn't have a salad bar, and it doesn't offer, those type of amenities. It does have food product and everything, but it doesn't have it. Now, the Walmart does have a deli in that where you can get fresh sliced cheeses and meats and everything else, but the Target doesn't. So Jewel is going to have to figure out how they differentiate themselves from Target, and they're going to market in this community back here with all this development back here right next to the police station. So I would assume these places feel very secure because of the immense police presence right at their doorfront, right? So this community over here. So lots and lots of, there's no other grocery stores. But the thing is, there is also a big gap in the development. And this is what I mentioned about, now they got a new project coming up on this property here, developing people that will transform communities, GMA, like Good Morning America, but this is GMA, people, developing people and transforming communities, GMA. Okay. And they have a lot over here, but this brings a whole new, basically, into it. And then they have a school up here and churches. Now, what Jewel and Target can do is be the supplier to the school. They can have a wholesale business like Sam's Club does. It has, and Costco has a wholesale business. They supply to convenience stores. And so they can supply to the school over here. And then here's a church that I guess is closed down. And the Wayman Church. And so obviously it's closed down, so I don't know what they're dealing with it. But this is the Jenner Academy of the Arts. And I would assume they have a lunchroom and vending machines and so on. And Jill can get into that wholesale business of supplying to these schools. Truly. And so it goes from Jewel, and they supply and they sell it to them at a wholesale deal to the schools and to the churches that are around here. Truly, they work with them and set up a wholesale arrangement. And so, and we're back out here, basically. So I'm on Cleveland and Division, and there's the Target. And again, they can have a wholesale component. And so the Jewel and Aldi's still can have wholesale components. And so they can sell to these vendors like schools. So instead of, they can get into like churches and so on, because they don't have Shamrock. And if Shamrock wanted to get into it, or Cisco Foods, they can supply to the churches. Like Urban Ministry, we could have taken deliveries from Shamrock or Cisco Foods. We went to the churches, the Jewels, to shop and get everything, but we didn't have a commercial account set up with them. But we could have had a commercial account set up with them. So they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do in this, because it's a retail sales, but they also have the ability to do commercial out of the retail. And that's what the guy I was working with at Sam's Club, they have a lot of retail clients, but they also have a commercial business where they go around competing for the small independent convenience stores and that. So they can also have a commercial business, a wholesale business. So this is the Aldi's. But there's no other grocery store now. You got the Jewel, you got the Aldi's and Target to shop from. But as you go down this way, you can go down a ways down, and you don't get any other grocery store. And I'll show you where the other grocery store is. And it's up here. It's up on State. But it's a small boutique grocery store. So it's not really their competition. So I'm turning down Oak Street. So all these buildings that's their food source. Besides any, getting from restaurants, delivery from restaurants and that. But getting food source from the grocery store. So, go up here. And here's a post-hospital rehabilitation center, and I would assume they provide meals if they have in-house patients. And where do they get their food from? And that's what I'm talking about. And here's a school, and I forget the name of this school. Oh, this is a Newberry Library. They probably have vending machines. But there's a school right over here as well. And so, where are they getting their food from? And they can compete for that business. And I use many vendors, so it wasn't like Cisco was my only vendor. I had several vendors. Some things I bought Cisco, some things I bought through other distributors. So it's just like the liquor. Some things I had Southern Wine and Spirits, and I had Union and Chicago Beverage Systems, and I had many different vendors. So here you get the other grocery store. And it's right up here on the other side of Walton on State. And it's a small grocery store. So is it a little bit farther up? But we'll see in 1 second. So I think it's a little bit farther up. Yep. So here it is, right over here. Potash. So this is the little neighborhood grocery store. And it's not really its competition. And their next competition is further up. And so they got a lot of area they can service too. There's a lot of people in here. And so the grocery stores have pretty much a lot of people to serve, so there's a lot to go around to them. And here's the church that, gets all kinds of food and so on, and does all kinds of fellowship. Now it's across the street from the Whole Foods. But there's not a ton of grocery stores. The most competitive grocery market in the United States is actually in Scottsdale. You have unbelievable amounts of different chains of grocery stores. And it's incredibly competitive. But that's why food prices are really good in Arizona. Truly, because they have a lot of grocery competition. So I have my officer with his headlights off. But anyways, in Scottsdale, lots of grocery competition. And down here, there's a lot of residents and businesses, but there's not a lot of grocery competition.